Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chicks. I'm your host, Kaylee Chakosky, and I'm here with
Jordan Erard Coupe, and our wish came true from last week.
I did.
We wanted some drama, and we certainly got some drama to work with.
We got it. And it's not just my terrible internet, it's actual drama.
I know.
love that.
Kaylee's having a pretty rough night with her internet connection right now.
I couldn't even see the video. I didn't know when I was supposed to start talking, and then I was still muted, and then the video started to play, and I was like, wait, okay. So I was like, I'm going to wing it. It's like kind of when you're in an intersection, you can't see past the car turning the other way, and you're just like, I'm just going to go, and if I die, I die. So
it's my time to go.
Yeah, so that was me. But yes, we did get a ton of drama. So do we want to jump into Julio Jones?
I think that's the direction we have to go in right now.
Yeah, because this is so much going on. So there's so many layers to this. Obviously, it started with, there were rumors already up in the air, probably not going to happen, but this really kind of got catapulted by Shannon Sharpe, who called Julio Jones live on The Undisputed. Basically, he didn't know that he was on live. No one decided to stop that train in its tracks. No one decided to let him know.
Yeah, no one was like, this might be a bad idea.
It's so bad. And then
it was so unprofessional is what it was.
Yeah. And you could tell he had no idea because he's like, hey, like he switched over to his car Bluetooth. Like it was just so
casual and
casual. And I have to imagine, I don't know, but I have to imagine that on these type of sets, like, yeah, he could hear people in the backgrounds, but I have to imagine that they often have conversations off the record, off of camera, and he just had no idea. So he's like, I'm out of there talking about Atlanta. Basically, I guess he was seen wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt. So he was like, what about the Cowboys? He's like, I just want to go somewhere where I'm going to win. Definitely not going to Dallas. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was pretty. I remember watching it and just being like, oh my God, like this is happening. And I have to say, I will admit, I enjoyed it. Like I thoroughly enjoyed watching it because I think it's super entertaining. Usually we have to hear everybody be super professional and they sugarcoat everything and they're keeping everything hush hush, and which is like the way you have to handle these situations. It was definitely entertaining to just hear him be so brutally honest about the situation. But at the same time, when you're looking at it, I feel so bad for the Falcons because they just lost any upper hand that they had in trade conversations. Because now if people call, they know he wants out. In his mind, he's out. So it's just such a dumpster fire right now.
It is. And yeah, you're right. It really diminishes what they're able to ask for in value and equity for Julio Jones. And I think people are looking at this from Julio Jones' perspective, which I think he is upset about it. And I have no doubt that a lawsuit is at least in discussion as a possibility. But I do think overall, it doesn't hurt him as much as it hurts the team. And I think when it comes to the team, there's been no conversation around a legitimate offer, right? And from what, our understanding is up until this point, there's been no legitimate offers made based on what they would want for him, which from what I'm understanding would be an early round draft pick, probably some additional draft picks in later rounds. And then obviously a team that's able to accommodate a $15 million cap hit. So I think that's the tough part, is that there's not a lot of teams out there that are going to be able to do it. And now you really alienated any sort of big offer, any sort of like driving power they had to really turn up the heat when it came to what they were asking for in return. So this sucks for the Falcons.
No, I feel really bad for the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm honestly interested to see if a lawsuit comes about. And we just talked about this on Play the Babe, but it is obviously illegal to do that. And it's a federal lawsuit if Julio Jones was not in California, which I'm assuming he was not. So if they want to press charges on this, especially Julio Jones, this could go pretty far, especially with how much it's blown up.
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly, he could sue them for the amount of his contract if it comes down to impacting actual trades going through.
Definitely. And this, I was reading an article today about how the Falcons had already called the league. Like the Falcons were freaking out. Like things are already, I don't know how in motion things are, but people are definitely upset and things are moving. And now it doesn't just go back on to Sharpe. It also goes on to Fox Network because nobody there thought it was like at that point, that's like worst case scenario, cut to commercial, like get out of there, like do something to stop it or have a producer like a producer is in his ears, have someone put a stop to it. Instead, it looked like they were egging it on, like it was totally normal, totally casual. And at this point, so now Fox Network, Fox Sports, who has major contracts with the league, could now be in jeopardy. Now, I don't know if they'll take it to that extent, but that's how far it could go. And now this one phone call on this one show could jeopardize major contracts and deals for Fox Network moving forward.
Yeah, and not to mention just off the record relationships with players, team executives, insiders. You really hurt your credibility. You hurt any potential of a player calling in and giving you, because that happens all the time, right? Yeah. It happens off camera. It happens off the record. They get a vibe. And that's why when they get on these shows and they're like, we really feel like he's just over Atlanta. I mean, that's because they talked to someone and they were like, I'm over Atlanta. I'm out of here, right? But they're not going to say that because obviously professionalism, confidentiality, that's how you build trust with network to player and network to league relationships. So I can't imagine anybody picks up the phone for him, at least in the next.
I saw one agent tweet and he was like, this is why I don't let any of my guys go on this show. He was like, there's a reason I tell them to stay away. And it's like things like that, you're just digging your own grave at that point. If people can't trust you, especially in this industry, it's all about trust and it's all about communication. And for you to just completely blow that live on air, it was brutal.
Let's talk about, do you think this trade is going to go through? Obviously it would probably come next week after June 1st, so they don't get a cap hit for it, but do you think this trade is going through?
So originally, if you had asked me before that phone call, I would have said absolutely not. And like looking at Julio Jones' contract on the Falcons, it does put them in cap space hell. So I'm like, to clear up cap space, it makes sense, but losing Julio Jones just doesn't feel like an option. Now, after the way he was talking about it and the way he's looking at it, it feels like it's kind of inevitable right now. So the one question, I don't think it's if he's going to get traded. I think it's what he's going to get traded for and where he is going to go. I think that's the questions, like the major questions that we should be asking right now. And those are big question marks because any team that's going to have to take him on, like you said, you're going to have to pay him big because that's what he's owed. Yeah. And also there's you're going to have to offer up a lot for him. This is one of the best to ever do it. He's not just going to sneak away. So there's a lot that goes into it. And, but I'm convinced that he's out of Atlanta.
I agree. This is the nail in the coffin on that whole situation. And I think here's the thing. He's 32 years old and he's coming off
to win.
He wants to win. He wants a ring. He's also coming off injury. And I do think that I don't know that he's necessarily worth the money someone's going to pay this year for him. But yeah, you're also committing to him for 2 years. That's how his contract is set up. So you're not just getting a 1-year deal. You're going to have to deal with him or trade him or restructure, do something with his contract to make it work if you don't want to commit to him in the long term. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. Let's talk landing spots. So we got 2 comments, so we'll talk through those, and then we'll talk through where we think he's going to go. So the first, Julio to the Jaguars for Marvin Jones and a 2nd-round pick. Not mad about it. Don't think it'll be enough, but not mad about it, especially where I think he's going to go. I would rather him be in Jacksonville, but yes, don't know if it'll be enough, but I wouldn't mind. The other one, if Julio goes to Green Bay, does Aaron Rodgers come back?
I think this, I talked about this in my video today. I think if the one thing is, realistically, yes, I think that would make Aaron Rodgers super excited. And it's kind of like an apology to him. Like the organization is like, listen, we have messed up majorly in the drafts over the last couple of years for you. Here is one of the greatest receivers ever. Enjoy, come back, please be happy, at least for the year. The problem is Green Bay has no freaking money. They went out of their way to pay Devontae Adams, which was something that we both wanted, but we didn't think was possible. And then they made it happen. So I just don't think they have the capability to pay him. Theoretically, I think this is best case scenario for him and for Aaron Rodgers, because the Packers are a team that can easily go and get a ring. He could be their little cherry on top, and then it makes Aaron Rodgers happy. But money-wise, I just don't know if it's feasible.
Yeah, they're a lot closer to the finish line of what he wants than probably some of the other teams that are in the mix and in this conversation. And we will touch on Aaron Rodgers later, but I don't necessarily know. I do think this would be a ton of incentive for him, but I do think the bridge has been burned so badly at this point. And I do think that I think it has so much less to do now with weapons around him and organizational support as an overall theme. But I do think it is more about him. And I think at this point, it's kind of too little too late. Julio Jones, fantastic. Any quarterback is going to be happy to have him in their room. But at the end of the day, I think Aaron Rodgers is making decisions way less based on get me support and more based on what he wants to do and where he sees himself long term, and maybe not even long term, but at least how does he ride out the rest of his career in a place that he wants to play for. So I wouldn't be totally convinced that this really heavily impacts the Aaron Rodgers situation at this point, but if this was a month ago, yeah, absolutely. But now coming up on, we'll talk more Aaron Rodgers stuff. And he seems so far gone from the Packers that it's hard to imagine that this at all kind of plays an impact. But, I would love to see it.
Yeah. So. No, it's going to be interesting. I have the place. All right, here, I'll ask you, where do you want him to go versus where you think he'll go? Because I'm definitely torn in this. Tell me what you think. There's two places that I think just make sense, and they're the two places that are at the top of this conversation, which again makes sense. There's a reason. Cap space plays into this entire thing probably the most majorly, right? So I think the Patriots obviously have the money. This seems like a Patriots move. If anyone's going to take a 32-year-old wide receiver coming off a hamstring injury, it's going to be the Patriots right now. They're so tired of being mediocre. They went on a spending spree. They did what they needed to do. They got all these players. Now they've got to put every single thing they can around Cam Newton to really test this out, right? They've got their backup quarterback in Mac Jones, but this is 100% them sending the signal of, hey, we're doing everything we can to make Cam Newton successful. And if he's not, we have no remorse cutting him loose next year. So, and I think that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to find the formula to win again, right? They're tired of being mediocre. They experienced it for one whole year and they just couldn't handle it. So now, God forbid, now they're back. They're trying to get the answer to an equation as quickly as possible. So that means throwing everything they have at Cam Newton and seeing what works. And if Julio Jones is an easy fit, he fits your cap space, you can make it happen. You don't have to give up too much. And you're confident about having pieces in the future, not relying on those early round draft picks next year. 100% do it. Where I think is a more likely destination for him is Tennessee. Which is, that kill you?
It would kill me. I would hate it so much. But would be a great addition. It's honestly, it makes the most sense of any team in the league, but also just of any kind of free agent match that I've seen so far. Because when you look at what they have, I mean, 4 of their touchdowns last season were scored by a receiver. 4. So that's the lowest in the NFL. It's insane. It's a wild thing. They are a Derrick Henry offense. The entire offense runs through Derrick Henry. but that's not going to win you Super Bowls, as they found out. You can make these miraculous postseason runs. You can, win a couple surprising playoff games. At the end of the day, if you can't throw the ball and get into the end zone and you don't have an offense that exists outside of one player, which I'm not discrediting anyone else on their roster, but that is just how they've built this offense, you're going to be kind of out of luck. And it's tough because A.J. Brown is really the only guy left that was a starter last year. So now you've gotten rid of Corey Davis. You've gotten rid of Adam Humphries. You've signed Josh Reynolds from the Rams, who I absolutely love and adore. But you need this guy who's going to be the tentpole of your passing offense. And Julio Jones, he is going to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Would I
Definitely.
like for that to happen? I would rather stab my eyes with ice picks, but again, that just makes the most sense. And if Julio Jones is happy, then cool. But yeah, I mean, where do you want him to go? Where do you think he's going to go?
So where I honestly, I think he's going to go to the Patriots. That's what my gut feeling is telling me, just because it's also super rare for Belichick to go out and get a star receiver like that, to spend that kind of money on him. However, we are seeing a different Belichick than we have seen over the last decade. He clearly got frustrated with being below average for one season. He couldn't handle it and went out and just went on a spending frenzy. And I think if he could finish off this offseason by getting Julio, that's just the most Belichick thing I've ever heard. That's the perfect coming full circle heading into this season. Do I want that to happen? No, just because I think, we talked about it prior, when we hated the Patriots for so long because they were so good. We're just sick of seeing them be great. Now we kind of feel sorry for them. If they have this incredible offseason, they get Julio and they come out very strong this season, whether that's with Cam or Mac. I don't really know how that's going to play out yet, but one or the other, that's just going to make me hate them again. It wasn't a long enough time of them being below average for me to be yeah, go Patriots. So I don't necessarily want to see it, but it does make a lot of sense. And I think that's somewhere he would be happy. I think him and Belichick would be great together. And like you said, it would be the perfect kind of way to see if Cam can actually still be Cam or if it really is over. Where I would love for him to go is to LA on the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I just think he would take this team, and it's so biased because I love Justin Herbert, and I think that weapon for him would be so incredible. I think he would just take that team that's already very strong roster, brand new coach. I think it would just take them to the next level. I've kind of seen them in dark horse conversations about it. They're not really in it. However, if this were to happen, I just think it would be absolutely fantastic. So that's what I'm praying for. That's what I would love to see. But everything in me is telling me he's going to end up in New England.
Yeah. This is
deep breath.
This is so much drama because this just escalated this entire situation, and now we're all on the edge of our seats. And I know we asked for it, but
I think as early as, because there's no way the Falcons, don't want to get rid of him, but there's no way it's going to happen this weekend, because if it happens before June 1st or it happens before June 2nd up to June 1st, they take a $23 million cap hit, where if they wait till June 2nd, they free up, what is it, about $15 million in cap space, $14 million in cap space.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can make it through this weekend. We can all kind of sit back and enjoy our Memorial Day weekend and relax for a little bit. And then June 2nd, it'll really be gung-ho. And I think it's going to happen very quickly after that point, because now everybody knows he wants out. So people are going to start making offers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how this goes. I do feel for the Falcons. Let's talk through the Falcons and what we're kind of seeing. So they're obviously into OTAs. Matt Ryan's there. Love that. I think that's obviously, we're still involuntary, so no one veterans do not have to be there. So rookies already had their mini camp. I guess I'm interested. Obviously, a lot of what the focus is for the Falcons coming into this offseason and into training is culture. And I think that has been really noted by Arthur Smith, that it's been said over and over again, we have to change the culture in Atlanta. Now, I saw clips and I heard reports, and I think that there's accountability going on. There is a lot more structure in camp. But is culture enough to get them to where they want to go? And I'm just, based on what you've seen from OTAs, camp, and everything so far, where do you think they're headed, broad overview, in 2021?
So, broad overview, I see them being above 500. I see them being a good team. I don't see them being a great team yet. And I think there's a lot that's going to go into it, but everything I'm seeing, all right, fine, an excuse for me to talk about Kyle Pitts. Don't force me into it. He's already coming in and kind of being like someone they can rely on offense. So for you to have, this was your 4th overall pick. This was a very big deal. They easily could have traded back. They chose not to. They went with him. Very smart move because he's just incredible in every way. And for them to come out and kind of already be like utilizing him in that way. And their head coach, Arthur Smith, on the Titans, he relied heavily on the 1 running back and 2 tight end offense.
Yeah.
So for now, you go out, you get him in the draft. So if they can kind of make that work, Matt Ryan's there. It does seem like there is culture building and there is talent there. So I don't think it's going to be enough. I can't see them being a playoff team, but I don't think this is going to be a treacherous season for the Falcons. I think they're moving in the right direction. And realistically, we probably have at maximum 3 years left with Matt Ryan. I'm thinking realistically more too. But if they can make the most of those last couple years, get some other weapons until he's gone, and then eventually find your long-term quarterback replacement, I think they are moving in the right direction to be great long-term. So I'm excited for them. I don't have super high expectations, but definitely not afraid for them. I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's tough, obviously, because the Bucs are going to run away with this division. We really have no idea what to expect from Carolina or New Orleans at this point, just given the shakeup in their rosters.
Weird.
It's going to be weird. And there's a lot of divisions like that. There's a lot of movement in free agency, a lot of people changing jerseys and things that are really up in the air. So where this division lands following the Buccaneers is really a mystery. And I think they have a good shot to really solidify at least second in this division. Just they have pieces that are coming back. They have pieces that they're really sure about. And they have pieces that they've added that I think are going to be really beneficial for them. And like you mentioned, what Arthur Smith likes to do and what we saw him do previously, I think when you add somebody specifically like Kyle Pitts, but also I'm obsessed with Mike Davis. I've been obsessed with Mike Davis. And I just think he's going to fit so well in this offense. And I do see a handful of players on this team having breakout seasons in the sense of they have big games, they have big moments, they make
Frank Darby, last pick, he came out in OTAs and was incredible.
Insane. And I think that's going to be the thing is you're going to see people have breakout seasons, make big plays, make names for themselves. But I don't see them as a team overall having wild success this year. Now, I think that shores up probably over the next couple years, just given a regime change and assuming all goes well and how we think this culture is going to shake out over the next few years. I think they're going to trend up. But I'm excited to see some of these guys play in Atlanta. And I think that's what has been missing for a while there. I haven't necessarily been that thrilled to watch an Atlanta game. I just haven't. No. It's not something I want to put on my television, but I'm here for it.
No, I'm going to look forward to seeing them this season. And I'm rooting. I want them to do well. And I do. And I also think part of that's like the guilt right now. I feel so bad for them for how this past week has played out. So now I kind of want them, no matter what happens with even if he ends up back there, like we still don't know. Nothing's a guarantee right now, but I want them to come out and do well this season.
Yeah. Did you see, speaking of Mike Davis, the photo of his legs?
No. Oh, wait, yes. Yes. I saw it on Twitter.
Insane. First of all, insane. Crazy. If you ever doubted him, like I can't with Mike Davis slander anywhere, but I just saw that and I was like, his legs. I saw someone tweet the other day and they were like, which NFL players' legs could, or which NFL players could crush a watermelon with their thighs? And I'm like, first of all, probably a lot of them, but definitely Mike Davis. That was the first thing I saw when I saw that picture. I was like, he could do it.
Yeah, he could crush a watermelon.
Easily.
Yeah, in his sleep.
Easily.
But yeah, no, the Falcons has been one wild ride. But one thing I've been keeping my eye on, and I think from the way you were hinting at it, I think I'm being all right. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Okay,
let's get there.
Let's do it.
Because I love this man like with my entire being, and I can't picture him anywhere else but in Green Bay. So I think I have to I'm living in like a pipe dream right now. And I'm so convinced. I'm like, everything's going to be fine. And he's going to go back and he's going to be a Packer. Like he just came off an MVP season. There's no way he's going to retire. And I've been telling myself this for so long. I literally listened to a whole interview of Brett Favre being like, there is no way Aaron Rodgers goes back to Green Bay. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, he will. It's fine. Everything's fine. So I think I'm just trying to like keep myself sane and convince myself that this is going to happen. But you kind of hinted at it already. I think there's a very real chance the bridge is burned there.
Yeah. I also think that it's not the Packers versus every other team in the NFL now. It's the Packers versus life, because we're watching Aaron Rodgers live his best life.
Oh, like he's on vacation with his fiance. He's playing in a golf tournament. Like he is just doing whatever he wants.
He's chilling. He's in Hawaii. He's doing all the things. He looks very comfortable, just having a good time. And I think that is
about having a family.
Correct, which is not something
we never heard.
Not something we're used to. He is the ultimate bachelor. Despite being in long-term relationships, he's always had a very bachelor mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love it for him. I like seeing him enjoy it and be happy and enjoy life. And I just think that when you look at the state of the Packers, right? I just don't know that anyone out there is going to be able to accommodate a trade of this size, right? Because this is not Julio Jones. This is probably the biggest. I mean, take out Tom Brady going to Tampa, right? If you remove that trade, this would be the biggest trade in probably a decade, right? Just looking at what history he's built in Green Bay, the caliber of player, what we saw him come back and do last year after people really thought that he was kind of on a downward slope. He's absolutely capable of taking a team to the Super Bowl still. So when you look at this and what he's put on paper and on film over the last year, I don't see any team in the league being able to conjure up some sort of equity to get Aaron Rodgers.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
How do you put a price on Aaron Rodgers? You can't. You just can't. Now, with that being said, do you think he's ready to just pack up and retire?
I don't know. See, and that's where I struggle, because I do think that I can't imagine him going anywhere, just because I can't see any team making it happen. But I also think he's just so committed to I'm not going back to play in Green Bay that I'm a little confused as to like what will actually happen once involuntary OTAs come around and you're actually in the thick of camp and things have to be done and things have to be decided. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. And that's the issue, is that this could be a really great case of him calling their bluff on, hey, you wanted to draft a backup quarterback. You got him. Now go play with him, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's tough because they're not in a position to play with Jordan Love at quarterback and win games. Like, they're just not. They're not. And that's nothing against Jordan Love. I just don't know that this is not a Jimmy Garoppolo situation. This isn't a guy who's been sitting back and being groomed for 10 plus years. This isn't it, right? Like, this is very much him calling their bluff. And I would assume even if he goes back to Green Bay, I can foresee him missing a large portion of camp and then really having to scramble to figure out, what are we going to do? One, if he doesn't come to camp, one, if he doesn't play at all, how do we proceed with this offense? So I'm not even mad at that.
No,
honestly.
and like I said, this might be me living in denial, which there's a very real chance that that's true. But knowing how he is and knowing he's a master manipulator, I really believe that he is just sitting back, letting all of these stories unfold. And he's like, I'm going to live my best life. I'm going to have my fun. And like you said, I think he is playing the Packers. And it's like, this is what you wanted. This is what you get. See what you can do with it. And I don't know if I really don't think he's holding out for money. A lot of people think, like, I really think it's more of like a confidence thing. And because he's petty. He doesn't talk to his own family. You think the Packers think they can outsmart him? Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
He's the king. He's the king of petty.
He is the king of petty. It is his world. Everybody else is in his mind. I mean, I'm living in it, but it's his world. Everybody else is just living in it. And I really think he's just going to sit back and he's like, no, I'm just going to let this play out and just see what happens. Like, I think in his mind, he feels like he's going to go back there and he's just going to let it run its course. And maybe he gets more money from it. Like, who knows? Or maybe someone offers up the entire world for him and he goes to a new organization, which I don't think he's opposed to either. I think he's pretty open to anything right now. So I feel like this is going to stress me out literally up until week 1 when the season is starting and we know exactly what is going to be going on.
Yeah, he had a great quote about this. He said, it's just kind of about a philosophy and maybe forgetting that it is about the people that make the thing go. And I think that is a common theme with a lot of these players that are calling the team's bluff, really putting them in a position to demand trades and really, empower themselves to make decisions. And I think we've talked about it before, you're looking at Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. You're looking at what level he gets to be in on those decisions. At what extent is he part of the front office as well? To what extent is he part of the coaching staff as well? Because I think we've seen that too. And I think when you have someone of Rodgers' caliber, and I'm not going to sit here and say we can compare stats, we can compare rings, we can do whatever we want to do. I'm not saying he's at Brady's level. I'm not saying he'll ever reach Brady's level, but he is definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a quarterback that is generational. He's a guy that just happened to come up around a bunch of other generational quarterbacks at the same time. So he is in a position where the team is very much focused on treating him like he's a bench warmer or a third string quarterback. And that's just not the case. And I think this is just part of the avalanche that's happening across the league of players really saying we are taking back power and control. And I think that's a perfect way to put it, is that they are forgetting that the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, like the reason that it's hard for us to envision it is because he is the face of the franchise right now. He's the person who puts butts in seats. He's the person who brings people to the TV to watch them play. He is the person who has now become the Packers' identity. And without him, and not only did you try to call his bluff last year, draft a quarterback and really put a fire under his ass and try to make something, you made it awkward for no reason. But then now you've put yourself in a position where that fake backup plan that you tried to just use to make a point, you might have to lean on that plan. And
yeah, I think that's what's scaring them the most because they did it. They knew there was drama. They knew they created this awkward situation. But then halfway through the season, Aaron Rodgers looked like he was having the time of his life this season, regular season. Yeah. He was having so much fun. He was killing it. They get to the playoffs. They make it to the NFC Championship. Coaching blew that game. And now you just pissed him off again. And I think they kind of like thought they fixed it like towards the end of the regular season. They were like, we have this great team. Like he's doing great. Like that MVP season. And now he's kind of like, all right, I just gave you that. Now you have to deal with the problems that you caused last year. And I really think they thought they were going to get away with it. And now it's come back up to bite them again. And they also screwed up the draft again this year.
Yeah, they didn't do anything to help him. And that's the craziest part is not only did you put yourselves in this position because you tried to put pressure on him with Jordan Love, which is a laughable thing to say, but you did it. Now you've annoyed him. You didn't draft him any help. Then you pretty much do nothing in free agency. You have a season that's not a failure. You have a pretty successful season. He runs an MVP campaign throughout the season. You think because he won games, and he had a great season for him, that he's going to forget everything that happened in the past. You think that now you don't have to put weapons around him. You don't have to spend money. You give him zero say-so in the draft and free agency trades. You give him zero trust on the field and off the field. And now you're surprised that he doesn't want to show up to your facility. It's wild. It's a wild thing to be surprised by, because you've wronged him over and over again. I'm like, what do you expect at this point?
They woke the beast and then are like confused as to why it's pissed. Yeah. Like that. And it makes no sense to me at all. And I just feel like it happened really quickly, because I feel like him and LaFleur had a great relationship. Like when he first got there, they were buddies, but then something, I really feel like it was after the draft last year, knowing the love situation, things just changed. And everyone can say Aaron Rodgers is petty. Like he is. Duh. Like that's how this isn't new. This isn't news. This is just how he's always been. He always puts himself first, which I think is a good way to be to an extent. But I feel like he has very, very valid reasons for being as pissed as he is. And I honestly think he's handling it like a boss, because I feel like at the end of the day, something is going to work out for him, because he knows how talented he is. Everybody else knows how talented he is. And something is going to pull through.
Yeah. He's chilling. And that's the thing is it petty at this point, or is it just asking for what you've earned and what is entitled to you based on your performance and what you've given to the franchise? And I'm more inclined to go with the latter on that one. I think he's petty in so many areas of his life. He's done petty crap for a long time, but this isn't that situation. I think he's definitely justified. And look, he doesn't care at all. He's out there. He's jamming a Taylor Swift with Miles Teller's wife. So I'm just like, you really, I mean, I don't know what more you could want. You're in Hawaii with other celebrities, a celebrity couple. You're double dating to a vacation in Hawaii, and you're just jamming out to Taylor Swift in the kitchen. I don't know what else you could want.
Sounds like heaven to me. It's literally all of my favorite things combined into one.
I'm here for it.
Aaron Rodgers jamming to Taylor Swift in Hawaii. Like that's everything I want in life.
Yeah, I'm so here for it. I want him to be happy. That's what I say about him.
He deserves the world. I wish I could give it to him myself.
He does. All right. Well, we will definitely keep an eye on that situation and Julio Jones. But do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Oh, wait, hold on. This is an off-brand, but
do it.
Did you ever see, this is like so pop culture, The Spectacular Now with Shailene and Miles Teller, and now they're all vacate, and I think they were in Divergent together too, like that series. And now they're all just like buddy. Like I just think it's so cute how it all came full circle.
It's adorable. I love it. I love to see it. I love how happy Aaron Rodgers is with her. When he said the word fiance, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's adorable.
Yes, I was in Applebee's. What? Oh my God, all my big football moments happen. I found out Aaron Rodgers was engaged in Applebee's, and I found out Drew Brees was retiring in Applebee's.
I mean,
I'm just going to sit there all weekend and wait for Julio Jones news.
Maybe Applebee's is like your place. I have a place like that. It's Miller's Ale House.
Stop! I love Miller's. Okay,
did you see the tweet that was going around? I'm personally offended. This guy put a picture of a Zinger Mountain Melt on his Twitter, and the post read, "This restaurant in Orlando serves chicken tenders on cheesy fries." And I was like, first of all, the disrespect and the unculturedness of this restaurant in Orlando. Are you talking about this dynasty of sports bars across the Southeast region? Is that what you're referring to? Miller's Ale House, a dynasty to be respected and revered by all? Okay. And then on top of that, you said they put chicken tenders. Nope, they're zingers.
They're zingers.
On cheese fries. Nope, it's a Mountain Melt.
Put some respect on their name, okay? Have you had the Zingers mac and cheese?
I've had the Zingers everything. Yes.
Oh my God. Stop. Now I'm going to want to go there. I'm literally going to get off the show and go to Miller's.
I know. I've always
the margarita pitchers.
Yes. First of all, prices. I mean, If they don't sponsor us, I'm just not this is a lot of free advertisement.
We are your number one fans.
This is a lot of free advertisement. I always say I want to get proposed to in a Miller's Ale house. Like all my big sad and good life moments have happened there. I cried in the Miller's Ale house bathroom when we lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship. I've experienced everything there. Love it. Right now, the closest one to me is 25 minutes away. It's absolutely unacceptable. I've been looking into if there's any franchising plans coming for one closer to me, but I am moving within 10 minutes of one soon. So heads up, there will be a lot of Zingers content.
You know, I have one 5 minutes down the road for me, and it's me and my sister wake up and we're like, what do you want to eat? And it's always Miller's. And we get nachos, we get pot stickers, we get Zingers. Oh my God.
Okay.
It's unreal.
We gotta clip it. We gotta clip it. We gotta tag Miller's. I don't want anything. I just want you guys to recognize, because I've been here since the start. I've been a Miller's Ale House advocate. The one thing I'm passionate about on this planet, if nothing else, is Miller's Ale House. So I'll just say that. Maybe I'm in the wrong career path. Maybe I should just own a Miller's Ale House.
Honestly, open one near your place.
I should.
I'll come work there for you. I've been a server.
I'm telling you, I know. And here's the thing is, if you know it, you know that not all of them are created equal. So
there's better ones.
There's worse ones. I know what the quality control measurements need to be. I'm here for it. I'm ready. I'm ready to take ownership.
This took such a turn. I'm so glad it did, though. I'm so glad we're on the same page. Some of my friends make fun of me for loving Miller so much. And I'm like, why? What is there not to love?
I've been on so many dates where they're like, where do you want to go? And a lot of dates, as you can imagine, involve watching games or something. It's a natural way to have a conversation. So it's like, whatever. But a lot of them, they'll be like, oh, where do you want to go? Like, Duffy is this place. And I'm like, no, we're going to Ale House. And they're like, why? And I'm like, first of all, we're not going anymore, because that kind of attitude will not be tolerated. So yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to clip it up. Miller's, please sponsor us. And for everyone else, just follow us, rate, review, subscribe on Apple and iTunes. Nope. Apple and Spotify.
We'll get there.
We're getting there. The Ale House conversation really threw me off, because I'm so passionate about it. And I'm also so hungry. So two things that are not a good mix for Ale House speak. But yeah, follow us on Instagram at Onside Chicks, Twitter, Onside Chicks Pod, subscribe on Twitch, YouTube, rate, review, subscribe on Apple and Spotify. And we will catch you guys next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.